your coaches tell you never be satisfied. So you have that mentality until you can sit back and take yourself out of that situation in that moment and realize this is the gates, this is the doors. It's nothing that anyone can take away from me from that.
Alcohol, right?
Because this season, we're seeing the Knicks' defensive identity, especially coming off of last season, completely be erased. And going into the playoffs, this may leave us in a very familiar situation as in the Carmelo years. And some of you fellas know exactly what I'm referring to, because during that time period, the Knicks always seemed to be a rotation away from closing out on a three-point shooter during crunch time, and we experienced a lot of heartbreaking losses. And a lot of that was due to the lack of effort, the lack of attention to detail by Carmelo Anthony on the defensive end. Carmelo Anthony, just like Karl-Anthony Towns, kind of sometimes put the Knicks in compromising positions when defending the pick and roll. You see Melo's in drop back, and his feet are just, he's kind of stiff. Paul George doesn't even get contested. When you have a guy out there like that, the offense has to really be on point because it's going to put a lot of pressure on other Knicks defenders. Shumpert right here is in a 2v1. Paul George is open and West is open. And West is Melo's man. So now Shump has to defend him, but you see, it leaves the defense exposed. It's always an open shooter. And this is why I say some of you fellas know exactly what I'm talking about. Around the 2015, 2016, 2013, 2014, all those seasons, you've seen the Knicks have a lot of heartbreaking losses in crunch time because they're always a rotation off. And this is where the issue begins. Again, it's crazy how this is very similar to the 2025 Knicks. They got a slow-footed star involving a pick and roll. And with poor communication, you're going to see the defense just get easily broken down. Look at Melo as he tries to recover. Tyson Chandler, no communication here. And look at Roy Hibbert. And this is Melo before the knee surgery. Check out the effort right here on the closeout. Look at Melo's effort. So this is why I say things are going to get interesting because Karl-Anthony Towns really hasn't had a crazy injury. But as time goes on, as he ages, he becomes even more slower footed. And who knows, maybe his scoring might come down a little. How is this going to play out? Fast forward to present day, just like Carmelo Anthony, when you run pick and roll with Towns involved, it's easy to break down this defense. And now Knicks defenders are just going to be rotating. All right, jumping back. This is Melo post-knee surgery. It's almost like going through a time machine here, but the Knicks need to stop. And Melo, he hedges, even though Hardaway is not really in a position to drive right here. With the communication not being on point, it's going to lead to a breakdown. Schroeder with the go-ahead bucket. I'm not trying to go in on Melo, but this is exactly what did happen. And at the end of the day, all this is fixable. Guys just have to be more detail-oriented on defense. And there's a lot that correlated for Melo's last few years on the Knicks that I'm slowly seeing repeating with Karl-Anthony Towns' makeup being on this team. Starting off with the defensive communication, organizing themselves real early on in transition defense. A lot of teams have been exploiting that, especially the Celtics and the Cavs. And we've seen that lack of communication played out in Melo's final few years with the Knicks. They were always a rotation off in crunch time situations, letting other team get wide open jumpers. Again, some of you fellas that are more privy to what was going on around that time know what I'm talking about.